How big is the brain, and how does its size compare to the rest of the body?
First of all, the brain's about 3 pounds for most people, give or take a little bit. There's been all sorts of theories and conjecture about whether it's going to get bigger or smaller and why it's the size it is. Clearly, we don't have any brains that are left over from 1 million years ago. We have the bones, the brains are all gone. So pretty much everything we have is conjecture. We've measured the size of people's skulls back over the years. Some people say there's a trend for it getting smaller. Some people say, no, it's actually getting larger. Some people say it's defined by we've got very large brains now, and so therefore X, Y, and Z as a result of the theory. It's about 3 pounds, which is, depending on your size of your body, is between 1.5% and 3% of your body weight. And the reason why that's important is when we come to the next topic, which is how much energy does the brain use? But it's somewhere around 2% of your body weight on average. So that's the first trivia question that you on what's the ratio of the body to brain weight? So anywhere between 1% and 3%, you get a correct answer.
It's interesting. One of the things that I was just thinking about, we could use this to help us in our daily life, is when we think about the brain, its weight is, you said 1% to 3% for most people, yet it controls everything within our body.
Absolutely. It is. There's nothing, we've said this before, there's nothing, I know I'm going to use a double negative, there's nothing that doesn't happen that hasn't started right between our ears. And that's true for whether you're talking about deciding what to take in the way of the next bite from the plate, or whether to press the button for a nuclear war.
Right.
It's all starting right between the ears.
Which I think is an interesting kind of parallel to, if we think about in the context of our professional world, scale doesn't always equal impact, because you can make a small or tiny shift in perspective can change how an entire team functions, right? And so I think that's an interesting parallel to what we just talked about. The brain is only 1% to 3% of our body mass, yet it controls everything. How can that apply to our lives? Doesn't mean that everything, all the changes we've been talking about, Phil, over the last number of podcast or episodes, doesn't mean that they have to be large scale changes, because even small ones, right? I think it was in Mulan, the movie, it said one single grain of rice can tip the scale. In this case, it's very similar to the size of the brain compared to the overall operating machine that it's driving.
Absolutely. And we've talked about some of the major impacts, and now we're going to go and we're going to start looking at, where did that come from?